We bring you a follow-up on classroom disruptions.
This week on TCSN, we got boys volleyball and swim.
The Spring Drama Show has started production. All this and more on All New TigerCast News, March 18th, 2016.
From Eye of the Tiger, this is TigerCast News. Broadcasting from Studio 403 in Roseville High School.
Good morning, Roseville. Welcome to an all-new TigerCast News. I'm Dan Gunko.
And I'm Justin Barlamov.
Earlier this year, we covered a story on new rules surrounding interruptions during class. We stated that admin was considering changing some policies, such as vending machine availability and tightening delivery times for office dismissal slips, to decrease classroom disruptions. Some of these actions, however, did not get implemented.
I'm sure they would be disappointed because, there's more ways to waste time besides like that. I think it depends on the teacher and how strict they are. And I think it's they think it's a bad idea, but it's still open. You can't really do anything about that unless they do close it down.
Admin considered the policy changes originally after department leaders voiced concerns last fall about the disruptions impeding classroom efficiency.
Integrated math's implementation over the last 2 years has been problematic. Jeremy Frisch takes a closer look at how students and teachers have been adjusting to the new program.
Over the years, Common Core has been pushing for a new approach to math. IM 2 and 3 teacher Michelle Walton explains the difficulties for her students.
It's been a struggle for some, just getting them to do more explaining and justifying of their work and not just memorizing rules. So that's been a little challenge, but because of that, I'm finding now teaching integrated 3, they're remembering a lot more from 1 and 2 because they understood it and could justify it than in the past when I taught algebra 2, when they had just memorized things and it was gone and they didn't remember it anymore in the next course.
Students' retainment of problem solving has improved, but there have been struggles with the new program.
Well, one of the things with the switch to Common Core is trying to get students to talk more, and I think that was easier in a smaller classroom because even in a big classroom you can have them do group discussions, but when you're doing whole class instruction there's only so much time for so many people to talk, and when there's 40, if you only have time for 4 people to talk, it's not as high as a percentage of the class as when there's 30 of them in there.
According to Walton, failure rates in her classes have been about the same from her previous classes such as Algebra 2. In the past, students drilled their way through problems. Now, students have to describe the solutions instead of remembering them. Some students have trouble adjusting to this new learning style.
IM 2 is kind of hard. I even failed it. I think it's because people don't focus enough, especially with a lot of people when they first hear about IM 2 and all the stuff like trig and everything that they're bringing from college, and Common Core is just trying to rush students, I think. But I think when they feel rushed, they don't, and they have 4 of the classes they have to deal with, it's kind of hard to focus on one subject.
I don't really think it would affect grades at all. I have similar grades to what I had in middle school with the normal math system, but I've heard all around that for some people their grades have dropped.
Unlike traditional math classes, integrated math combines several levels into one class. This has caused discussion between students producing a frequent response that Common Core doesn't work.
Common Core I think is kind of stupid because teachers can't express themselves in their own way. They can't give them their own extra credit they want to, but some teachers do it anyway. But I think it's kind of just a big deal that they should really get rid of it because no one likes it in the first place.
Integrated math teachers continue to adjust curricular aspects in which they see immediate room for improvement.
We now go to Jason Russell and Josh Carson for sports.
Hello and welcome to an all-new edition of TCSN. I'm Josh Carson.
And I'm Jason Russell. The boys varsity volleyball team has had a very strong season so far and are currently first in the CVC. We go to Aaron Wright with more on the story.
After being co-league champions last year, the boys varsity volleyball team entered this week with a record of 16-1. Returning players Tommy Morin and Neil Riley both believe that this year's season can be just as good as last year's.
We started off pretty strong this year, continuing off of last year's really successful season. We only lost about 3 players and brought up some good sophomores that are continuing with the team.
This year's going really well. We're starting off very strong. We're keeping the momentum that we gained coming off of being co-league champions last year. and we're back out for revenge to get that section title.
Every championship team has something special about them that makes them different from the competition. Riley and Morin both understand that their team chemistry and experience has been the thing that has helped them be so dominant.
I think this year we have a lot more experience than we did last year. A lot of our players have been playing either at the varsity level or at a high level for a while. And also we play as like a team rather than individuals. And even though we played as a team last year, it's just this year it seems like more of a stronger bond. We're more cohesive.
This year we're playing a lot more as a team together, playing for each other. No one's really out on their own, and the team chemistry is just really solid already kicking off the season.
So far, the boys varsity volleyball team has met the high expectations that were set on them entering the season. Only time will tell how far they can really go.
My expectations personally are for us to do really well. Definitely go back to the section championship and win that and make it past at least the first round of NorCals. I know our team goals are to win sections and win 2 or 3 rounds of NorCals, and also go back-to-back with the league championship.
A current update about the team: at least one player on the team is leading the league in every major stat, including hitting percentage, kills, assists, serving aces, total blocks, and digs. And a specific boys volleyball player, Zach Mancha, is currently leading the league in assists with 375 assists. The next closest player in the league only has 212 assists, so congratulations to the team and Zach.
RHS Swim has started off this year with a 2-0 league record as of Wednesday. They have been very successful so far and already have 2 girls teams that qualified for section relays this year. Isabel Bautista was not previously on the swim team last year, but has had a very strong start to her year and is enjoying the different environment swim brings.
It's really fun. Like, I used to do swim when I was younger, and so I came back to it, and it feels just so like, it's nice to be able to compete like individually, but then also be scored as a team. So like it feels like it's both.
And that's it on your home for Roseville High School sports. Top plays, breakdowns, and more. TigerCast Sports Network, TCSN. Now we go over to Austin Collins with entertainment.
Thanks, Josh. The second trailer for Captain America Civil War premiered last Thursday. The trailer featured more background into the conflict that instigated the war in the first place. We also got a closer look at Black Panther, who sides with Iron Man, and Ant-Man, who sides with Captain America. Dialogue between Iron Man, Black Widow, and the Cap are the narration for the trailer, giving viewers a sense of the opposing ideals that the characters have and will ultimately lead to the opposition. At the very end of the trailer, we got a sneak peek at the new Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland. While first impressions are important, I was not impressed with the new costume design. It looks to be a CGI suit like in Green Lantern. Perhaps Civil War's larger budget will be able to pull it off more than the latter. The moments I did see of him looked like they took him straight out of a PS3 game. His eyes also adjust size to convey the character's emotions, I guess, rather than a stoic mask. This doesn't really work for Spider-Man as well as it did for Deadpool. This kind of nonsensical costume physics is something that only gelled well with Deadpool because of his ridiculous meta-humor that I would expect from the character. And while this is how Spider-Man's mask works in the comics, it looks flat out ridiculous in movie form. Far Cry Primal was released February 23rd on Xbox One, PS4, and PC. I had a chance to spend a long romantic weekend with the game to see if it lives up to the infamous Far Cry quality. While the first 4 Far Cry games took place in modern time, Ubisoft decided to take a different approach with Far Cry Primal, and instead takes place in the Stone Age, letting you play as a caveman. Right off the bat, Far Cry Primal's gameplay is very similar to that of Far Cry 3 and 4. However, reducing the large array of modern-day weaponry to a few variations of sticks and stones mean that the gameplay is wildly less varied. While it is satisfying to take down foes with spears and clubs, the combat is extremely linear given the limited arsenal. A new feature in which Far Cry Primal boasts is the ability to ride and tame a plethora of prehistoric beasts, from the almighty saber-toothed tiger to the more familiar grizzly bear and wolf. Some of the best villains in video game history originate from the Far Cry series, from Far Cry 3's Vas Montenegro to Far Cry 4's Pagan Min, both wildly diverse and memorable villains. Far Cry Primal lacks a proper villain and instead pits you against an evil, cannibalistic tribe of fellow cavemen. Pretty cliche. For all of these reasons, I'm giving Far Cry Primal 3 out of 5 stars. We now go back to Justin with more news.
Thanks, Austin. The drama program has been rehearsing for a play they will perform in April. The musical will be on April 14th, 15th, and 16th, and also on April 21st, 22nd, and the 23rd.
We are performing the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. It's a hilarious comedy musical about kids who are competing in a spelling bee and kind of all chaos lets loose. And each kid has a very specific personality.
The show will cost $5 for students and $10 for adults.
An RHS student has developed an interest for building and flying drones.
Louise Alumba has picked up a huge interest in flying model airplanes and drones.
Well, I first got into just flying drones when I first got into just flying model airplanes instead, just a kid interested in things that fly. I just wanted to, I went from paper airplanes to actual motorized an airplane that I got for my birthday.
Unfortunately, laws and regulations have restricted the fun and enjoyment of flying drones.
A lot of laws and regulations going around about, drone activities of the U.S., bombing places and, drone safety. In fact, the word drone itself nowadays has a negative connotation. So when I'm kind of shy to say that, oh, I fly drones, because sometimes people are like, oh, that's cool, and sometimes people are like, oh, really? And they're kind of shaky about it. And it's not just, the connotation with the word drone, it's more of kind of the laws also.
The fear of people spying on others has begun to take over the public. It causes a sort of panic for people.
The radio system for your video link to your aircraft is, you have to have a certain license for that. So once I found out about that, I don't want to get fined a few $1,000s just for flying around, as a kid, not really, spying on anyone or anything. And that's also one thing, I've seen lots of videos of people getting attacked because they're flying their drone thinking they're stalking people, when actually they're just on a public beach flying down so high you can't even tell if the person's a male or female on the beach. So
even though there are many laws and restrictions, Lewis still flies his model airplanes, even though laws are popping up for them now.
I still do fly my airplane just regularly, but there are laws coming around where even that's being limited, just a regular airplane. So if kids are flying their air hogs around, they can get fined.
In the end, Louise might have to lay low for now.
I really have a deep passion for flying, almost as much as I love art right now, which is kind of my main goal, being that it's not too limited, hopefully. So flight's really been my passion for a while. I've wanted to be a pilot for a while, then I found out, maybe that's not really my thing, so I'll just stick to models. So
Lewis has been flying drones since he was around 12 years old, and we can't wait to see what he'll build next. That's it for us today in TigerCast News.
And remember, we're always on at eyeofthetigernews.com. See you next time.